The Dubbing King software presents Methods and Techniques to Optimize Your Translation Work. A comprehensive guide. What is translation? Translation is a mental activity in which the meaning of given linguistic discourse is rendered from one language to another. According to Ghazala, 1995, translation is generally used to refer to all the processes and methods used to convey the meaning of the source language into the target language. What are the types of translation? There are 8 types of translation. Word-for-word translation, literal translation, faithful translation, semantic translation, adaptive translation, free translation, idiomatic translation, communicative translation. What is news trans-editing? News trans-editing belongs to a method of translation by both translating and editing. This is a process in which news written in the source language is transformed into the target language. What is idiomatic translation? Note that idiomatic translation refers to achieving a target text that sounds natural in the target language, while idiomatic expressions are idioms or fixed expressions in a given language. What is literal translation? Literal translation is the translation of text from one language to another word for word, rather than giving the sense of the original. What is free translation? Free translation. A free translation is a translation that reproduces the general meaning of the original text. It may or may not closely follow the form or organization of the original. The best online translators you can use in the real world. 1. Google Translate. One of the most popular translation services is offered by Google. And if you search Google for translators, its own handy tool will pop right up above your search results. This means you do not have to open another website. But if you have a lengthy amount of text to translate, the Google Translate site is your spot. You have more space for your text and can choose your input method from handwriting or keyboard options. Other features you might like include saving, listening to, sharing, or copying the translated text. In addition, you can suggest an edit if you believe the translation is incorrect. Google Translate provides over 100 languages. 2. Bing Translator. Another big name in translators is Bing, which uses Microsoft Translator. You can select your input language or have the site automatically detect it as you type. If you have your microphone enabled, you can speak the text you want to be translated, which is convenient. After you receive the translation, you have options to hear it aloud in a male or female voice, share it, or search Bing with it. And, you can give the translation a thumbs up or thumbs down if you would like to provide a little feedback. This translator offers over 60 languages. 3. STL Free Translation. 4. Translate.com. On Dict, you can choose from over 50 languages and use auto-detect for your own dialect. Just enter your word, phrase, or a large amount of text, pick the translation language and hit the Translate button. You'll see the written translation and can click the sound button to hear it out loud. 5. Deeper Translator. The Deeper Translator is a really cool tool with its definitions and automatic sentence completion options. You can choose from 9 languages, and when you receive the translation, just double-click the word for more details. When you select that word in the translation, you will see a drop-down box with more options. You can also take a look at the word definition that pops up at the bottom of the page at the same time. Plus, you will see examples of the word being used in both the input and output languages. This is great if you are trying to learn the language you are translating into. 6. Babylon Online Translator. While Babylon does offer software that you can download for translations, you can also check out their online option. With over 75 languages and a simple swap option, the site may not have the bells and whistles as others but is reported to be quite accurate. If your business situation could benefit from a professional translator, Babylon offers that service as well. Just click the Human Translation button on the online translator page and you will be directed to that section of the site for the details. 7. Prompt Online Translator. Prompt Online Translator does not offer as many languages as other translators. The list is limited to about 20 languages so far. But it does have other nice features. Use automatic language detection and even choose a topic for the translation. You can then copy, paste, check the spelling, or access a dictionary. There is also a virtual keyboard, so if you are using the site on a tablet, for example, popping in your words or sentences is simple. Prompt also offers translation software that you can purchase and download. Plus, you can order a human translation directly from 1 Hour Translation. 8. Collins Dictionary Translator. If you use the Collins Dictionary website for looking up definitions or synonyms, then take a look at the translator. You can input text and translate it to and from over 60 languages. While this translator has minimal features, the translations come from Microsoft and there is a convenient copy button for the text you receive. If you are in the market for a basic translator on a site with a dictionary, thesaurus, and grammar tools, Collins Dictionary is the one for you. 9. Spanish Dict. If your main translation needs are English to Spanish, the Spanish Dict is ideal. Right on the main page, you can pop in the text you need translating. But what's nice about this Spanish translator is that it includes a special character set too. When you see the translation box, just click the arrow to expand it with accent buttons. If you have received text in Spanish and need to translate it to English, those characters come in handy. And, of course, you can translate the opposite way as well. Other good features are the definitions and examples you receive with your translation. What is the difference between a translation method and a technique? It's very simple. A translation method is applied to the entire text to be translated, while a translation technique may vary within the same text according to each case and depending on the specific verbal elements to be translated. The classical taxonomy of translation procedures dates back to 1958 and is the work of J. P. Vinay and J. Darbelnet. It consists of 7 categories. What are the different techniques of translation? Just as there are different types of translation and different methods of translation, there are different techniques of translation. 1. Borrowing. Borrowing is a translation technique that involves using the same word or expression in the original text in the target text. The word or expression borrowed is usually written in italics. This is about reproducing an expression in the original text as is. In this sense, it is a translation technique that does not actually translate. 2. Calque. When a translator uses a calque, he or she is creating or using a neologism in the target language by adopting the structure of the source language. 3. Literal translation. Usually, this is called a literal translation or metaphrase. This means a word-for-word translation, achieving a text in the target language which is as correct as it is idiomatic. According to Vinay and Darbelnet, a literal translation can only be applied with languages that are extremely close in cultural terms. It is acceptable only if the translated text retains the same syntax, the same meaning and the same style as the original text. 4. Transposition. Transposition involves moving from one grammatical category to another without altering the meaning of the text. This translation technique introduces a change in grammatical structure. 5. Modulation. Modulation is about changing the form of the text by introducing a semantic change or perspective. 6. Equivalence or reformulation. This is a translation technique which uses a completely different expression to transmit the same reality. Through this technique, names of institutions, interjections, idioms or proverbs can be translated. 7. Adaptation. Adaptation, also called cultural substitution or cultural equivalent, is a cultural element that replaces the original text with one that is better suited to the culture of the target language. This achieves a more familiar and comprehensive text. Since the 60s, several authors, Michel Ballard, Alenchke, Michel Payard, etc., have established other methods of translation, such as explicitation, introducing specific details in the text of the target language, collocation, using a sequence of words that usually go together in the target language, and compensation, where an allusion or reference does not appear in one part of the text as in the source version, but later in the target text.